Hey, Mike Healy here, and I want to first off thank you for taking the time to watch this webinar. This is going to be recorded as well so that you can view it again and again. I'm using a green screen studio to do this to make it a little more interactive. I'm the kind of person that likes to communicate with people directly, and I think that doing it this way may help you to learn a lot better about some of the stuff that I'm about to show you. Now, I'm going to jump right in. I talk fast in a lot of areas, but I'll slow down to make sure you get to the good points. But what I'm about to show you behind me here is pretty much something that I believe will change your life. And I know that's a bold statement, and it's coming from somebody with the experience of knowing that what's behind here and the methodologies behind it, the philosophies, the systems were things that I learned over a period of time that have significantly changed my career, okay, to say the least. And what I plan on doing in the next few minutes is to go through this and really educate you on something that you may not be aware of that's going to help you take your business to the next level, okay? And it's regardless of what type of business you're in, the same principles, the same systems, the same philosophies will work for you. So regardless if you're starting a church and you're looking to figure out ways to get your church known, to get members there, this that I'm about to show you will work for you. If you're an insurance salesperson and you're looking to get leads, or you're looking to build your business bigger and faster, this will help you. If you're in network marketing, or you're building something like that, or some kind of other sales, this will help you, okay? So what I'm going to go through here is stuff that I do on a regular basis. This is tried and true, and this webinar that I'm going through with you is going to be this significant, okay? So let me just go ahead and get started here, and we're going to move you on here, and I'm gonna like I said, I'm going to slow down at points that we need to really focus on. Now, the first thing is I want to show you a little bit some of the things that we're going to do. Is we're going to cover automating the lead generation process. Regardless of what type of business you are in, you have to have leads, which is just literally people to talk to. In business, we are not selling products, we are not selling buildings, we are not selling policies, we are not selling anything except communicating with people. We have to get a message to people. We are selling ourselves and our message and our brand or whatever to a person, okay? So that's real important, and understand that the more people you can have look at your whatever, the better off you're going to be. The faster you can do it, especially if you can automate it, okay? Automate it. And I'm going to touch on that a few times. The other thing I'm going to show you, this has to do a little bit with the philosophies, is what they call, I named it, I did a training on this before, called the Moneyball growth formula. It's based on the movie Moneyball. If you've never seen it, it's fantastic. And if you dip down below the sports part of it, it's really remarkable, and I'll show you that in a second. I'm going to show you also, they call them funnels. If you're not familiar with that term, funnels are merely, it's just like the funnel you have at your house for whatever you're using it for. You got the big thing with the small thing at the bottom, and you pour a bunch of stuff in there, and it filters through. Some of the, if you're trying to put, let's say you had a cup with, what a funnel is. I don't have to explain that to you. You're good. Case study. I'm going to show you the funnel example. I'm going to show you how I put it together, how it works, and how it can work for you. And then this one is kind of funny, but it can be. It's true. It's how to legally print money. And the reason I say that is, and I get to this at the end or towards the end after these case studies, is if I told you, if you gave me as an example, if every time you gave me $1, or you gave me $1, I handed you $2 back, how many dollars would you give me? Right? Okay, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to legally printing money. Because really what you're doing, and what I'm going to show you, is solving significant problems in most people's business careers, their lives, and I'm going to show you how to automate this whole process and really bring you up to speed on some tech that you probably are not aware of or have no clue how it would work, and so on. So if you hang with me, and if you're watching this live, hopefully you already got something to drink. If not, pause it and get something to drink. But you know, and take the time to really study this out, because I've studied this out for years and years and years, and it's worked really, really well. Okay, before I jump in, I'm going to go through this fast. In case you're not familiar with who I am a husband of 20 plus years. I've got 3 awesome kids, and I've been an entrepreneur now for going on about 21 years. I've had the pleasure and the blessing and the, you know, the to do what I've been able to do over is just it's blessed. We're blessed. My family's blessed. It has taken some serious and significant work and hard work, to say the least. We've always had our ups and downs, just like anybody else out there in the real world, just like you will. But I mean, I've been able to travel the world. I got some pictures here of me, you know, riding elephants in Thailand. I've been to Rome multiple times. I don't know how many times I've been to Hawaii, able to take my kids on vacation, drive nice cars, and the whole 9 yards. And it's all based on what you might choose as what you see as success. The other thing too is I've been a public speaker and trainer for about the same time frame, about 20 some years. I've spoken in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I think the largest crowd I ever got to was about 11,000. You know, remarkable experience. And I've been able to talk one-on-one with people as well. Okay, I've done tons of trainings on a lot of the stuff I'm about to show you. Featured on you know, magazine covers. I've been on TV shows, emceed lots of events, and so on. Okay, so we're done with that. That's a little bit about me. Hopefully, you probably already found out about some of the stuff that I've done anyhow. Okay, so the reason I brought up 2 Rubik's cubes is you're probably old enough to remember the Rubik's Cube when they were hot when they first came out. And it's just like, and the reason I have this image is it's the same thing in business. Is literally all we're doing, or all you have to do, is figure out the puzzle of what you have to get done. And if you can put that puzzle together properly, you know, you can do it every time. You can figure out how to do it, especially, you know, with Rubik's Cubes, you can mess them up, and then if you know how to do them, you can put them back together again. So my objective, especially in this webinar here, is to take you from the messed up, you know, thing of all the different things that you have to focus on in business, and take you to the finished puzzle piece, because that's really what happened for me. Was I was learning each little aspect of business, whether it was lead generation to you know, learning how to make phone calls, to learning how to talk to people, to do all these things. And then eventually it just seemed like it all went from little pieces everywhere, and it condensed down and became very streamlined for me with the processes that I've put together. Okay, so I want to talk to you, if you can, hopefully you'll take notes with this as well, because I'm one of those guys that doesn't sugarcoat stuff. I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to get to it, and I'm going to make it worth your while, but I'm going to make sure that you don't have to do a lot of the, you know, make a lot of the mistakes that I've made over the years. Okay, the first thing is I want to give you a couple phrases that changed my life after I studied them out. And one is, the system is a leverage by which you turn ordinary people into extraordinary performers. Never before in the history of the world have we been in a time where you can automate stuff and become so systematic with things. And I know this word's real, it's systematize. I've used it before. That allows you to leverage yourself to become better and bigger and faster than you really are. And that's what's real important. We can be average people, but we can use systems to look great. Leads me to my next one. Great businesses do not look for extraordinary people. Great businesses look for ordinary people and leverage them with extraordinary systems. I'm going to leave this up for a second so you can write that down. But let me talk to you while you're doing that. If you look at the biggest example of this, it's McDonald's. McDonald's does not hire the best and the brightest typically, but they are we would be in agreement probably they're one of the biggest success stories in the history of mankind, due to the fact that they have the perfect turnkey system. The perfect turnkey system that means that they can take a high school kid and stick him into the system, and because everything is running correctly, automated, almost practically automated at the time, they can get the same result every single time. And that's why people buy franchises to begin with, is they're buying the system, the automation part of it. Okay, so these 2 phrases really changed my career. The other thing that changed as I began to look at this, because I come from a background of sales and team building and things like that, was the myth of motivation. And I'm going to get to the nuts and bolts here in a second, but these are important things to get you going right out of the gates here. This was I actually don't look at it yet. This was great because How many times have you been to training events or seminars and so on, and it was rah rah, hype hype, you can do it, you can win and everything, and there's a place for that, and I like that just as much as anybody else. I mean, it is what it is. But when I heard a guy say this, it completely just blew my mind. He said rather than motivate people to increase productivity, create systems to increase productivity, and the motivation will naturally follow. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Rather than motivate people to increase productivity, create systems to increase productivity, and the motivation will naturally follow. Literally, that phrase right there can change your life if you understand it. And I mentioned the systems a second ago. Is that if you can develop something that will actually practically automate a lot of the traditional processes of what you have to do, you can look like you're brilliant. That's the thing that I've fooled people with, I guess you could say, is I look a lot smarter than I probably really am because I've put the right systems in place and I've learned parts of the puzzle that need to be automated and need to be really hammered down, okay? And then the last phrase I believe I have on here is automation is to your time exactly what compounding interest is to your money. Automation is to your time exactly what compounding interest is to your money. Rory Vaden said that. I heard it on one of his webinars, and it stood out. I rewound it and I wrote it down, and I've used it ever since in my presentations because it's so important to understand that. Now, I want to talk to you just briefly about this, and I'm going to give you we're going to switch gears now and start to get into the meat and potatoes of this, but I think it's important that you understood the foundation of where I'm coming with the philosophies and the paradigms, or whatever you want to call them, to take you to this next part and then move you right up the ladder here. The Moneyball growth formula that I named it was based, again, like on the movie Moneyball, that was based on a true story about the Oakland A's. I think it was back in the 80s, if I remember correctly, where Billy Beane and a couple of the other guys that were real famous back then, they just had gotten into the playoffs and they lost real quick, and then they got their team, all their top players left. They just boom, boom, boom. And it goes on talking about how the New York Yankees had this massive budget, okay? And they had the lowest budget in the entire Major League Baseball, league, and they didn't know what to do about it, okay? They were really, really freaking out. And what happened was, the movie goes into, the first part of the movie, they're meeting in there, and Brad Pitt is Billy Beane. He's the guy that's the general manager there, and he's asking these guys, because they're all going through, and these are all his top recruiters, and they're trying to find new players to replace Giambi and all this stuff. And he kind of sits back and he pauses and he says, "What's the problem?" He starts asking them that, what's the problem? And they said, "Well, we have to replace this guy because he was this hitter." And he asked another guy, "Well, what's the problem?" And this guy said, "Well, we need to get the first baseman because Giambi left." And they keep going back and forth, and they ask the other problem, and this guy says, "Well, we need to make up 35 runs, 25 hits, blah blah blah," right? And the guy goes through that, and then he ended up going through, and he said something that I thought was pretty powerful when he got back to Billy Beane. Billy Beane says, he goes, "There are rich teams and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us." He said, and he starts to explain the difference between that. Well, so they were all at this point in the movie looking at the problems they weren't really addressing. He realized that they were pretty much broke and working on a lower budget than everybody else, so it was an unfair game in his mind. Let me pause. That's the point that I want to talk to you, because more than likely, you're probably, you may not be rolling in the dough quite yet with your business. You may be, but if you're not rolling in the dough yet, you're up against it. You're maybe working for yourself. You're trying to make ends meet, and you're just trying to get your business going. And you feel overwhelmed when you look at some of these other people or these other businesses that have these massive budgets and they can crush it. Well, this is the stuff that I'm going to show you that helps equal that playing field, because you're going to know stuff that these other people really don't, and they're throwing, back to the dollar amount, they're throwing cash at the problem but not addressing what the real points are. Okay, that's real important that you understand it. There are a lot of businesses, I've been hired by companies and corporations before, that have been doing that. They've been taking cash and throwing it in one area, thinking that if the more money they throw at it, the bigger the solution will be coming, and it's not the case. Where I've been able to take their money and drop their costs way down by showing them what the proper systems were and funnels we put together for them to build them a real business, okay? Because they were looking at the wrong data points and stuff. So anyhow, let me, I sidetracked on it. So the movie turns around when Billy Beane goes to Cleveland, tries to recruit some guys, and he's there, and he runs into this guy named Peter Brandt. Peter Brandt is the guy that basically is a numbers guy. He's from Yale, and he studied economics, and he decides to tell these guys at Cleveland they shouldn't give him, Billy Beane, these other players. And what it comes down to was, in his head, he had some strategies and some things that he was looking at differently than these guys were, and it made him make other decisions. Well, this really intrigued Billy Beane, and Billy Beane took him downstairs and took him outside and said, hey, we need to talk, what's the thing? And this guy apologizes to him, but then he says, Peter Brandt says, okay, I'm going to lay it out on the line for you. He says, there's an epidemic failure to understanding what's really happening in the game of baseball, okay? He said, people who run ball clubs think in terms of buying players. How many times have you been in businesses before where they go out and they pay big salaries to people, or they pay signing bonuses with people in networking or in industries like insurance and stuff, a lot of times based on what they believe is credit and talent in a lot of cases, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're working with a lower budget, you got to think a little differently. But he says people who run ball clubs think in terms of buying players. Your goal shouldn't be to buy players, but to buy wins. And in order to get wins, you need to get runs. But in order to get runs, you need to get hits. Okay, let me slow down and show you this one real quick. Here's the significant part of what he is saying here, is what he begins to do is identify the core tasks and the specific things that that really matter, the metrics that really matter. I wish I would have put this slide in this webinar here for you, but if you're not making data, in a lot of cases, if you're not making data-driven decisions, but opinion-based decisions, you'll be wrong 90% of the time. It'll be guessing. And I've learned to use the stuff that I'm showing you allows me to get hard, concrete, firm data that allows me to automate more, monetize more, and increase and scale. Okay, so anyhow, so it's real important. So go watch this movie if you haven't, because it'll give you a different paradigm of way of thinking. Now, I want to talk to you about what I did in the old school days that worked, but how I became able to automate this. Now, I've been known for over the 20 years of, and understand that these technologies I'm showing you haven't been around for 50 years. They haven't been around really for 10 years. They've been around for maybe a handful. And if you're on the cutting edge of learning some of these things ahead of time, you're going to be way ahead of the game. Okay, you'll blow by your peers. Okay, but what I had when I first began to do it was I kind of put myself and quantified a little recipe that I called the 5-step recruiting process. It had to do with prospecting, which is who was I going to talk to, and I used a yellow pad just like everybody else probably did. And I made contact with them, okay? I called them up on the telephone. I just randomly dialed lead after lead after lead of just people I got, business cards out of fish bowls and things like that. I then learned how to present to them. I would make appointments and go present to them one-on-one, and I did all that. I learned how to follow up with people, how to make the conversations, calling the phone people again, calling and calling and calling and calling and calling and calling and calling, okay? And then I learned how to repeat the process, and so on. And this 5-step process held true to working for me in the old school thing. So I'm not saying that this doesn't work, because it does. I've made multiple seven figures off of this process old school way. Okay, now I'm going to show you, because what happened was I began to do the Moneyball approach. I began to be Billy Beane and start looking and asking people questions, and how can I automate this process? How can I automate my recruiting? How can I automate the way I communicate with people? How can I really speed through the numbers? Okay, how can I really work the numbers faster? If it's a numbers game, like we all know, look at batting averages. Why do they keep batting averages, for instance? They realize that the more you swing the bat, the better you typically get. But they keep batting averages, and you can be an all-time failure at batting averages of like what, 3 out of 10 hits, and you go to the Hall of Fame. But it's all about, what I asked myself was, how can I automate this process? And it really comes down to some simple thoughts here. Which would you rather use to dig me a ditch for $100,000? An ordinary shovel, which is old school stuff, or a backhoe? Okay, if you look around society today, the people that have used technology and used new ways of doing things, they didn't just become old dog can't learn new tricks. When they embraced these things and began to understand them, they propelled themselves to different levels. They can get buildings built quicker than they ever could before. It didn't take them 40 years to build a building like it did back in the days of Rome and things like that. Automation is the key, okay? So now what I want to do, so I gave you some of the methodologies, I gave you some of the thinking behind this, and this is really just me trying to get you going, and we're going to walk our way through here, is I'm going to talk to you about an automated lead generation funnel. The reason it's kind of a fancy thing, but what it means is we want, you and I want to get you more leads, whether that's more people to sell your product to sign up for your company, to be reps for your company, to be distributors, whatever it might be. That's what our objective is. Okay. Now I'm going to just give you an example of the things that I've done that have worked. Okay, and then I have other trainings that I can show you, breaking down each bullet point. But it's very important that you understand this first. Okay, because if you understand the puzzle, I'll show you how to create the pieces and put those puzzle pieces together so that you can do the exact same thing, and leads and people joining just become second nature, becomes automated. It's just like a machine. It's going in one way and then pop out comes the rep, pop out comes the sale, okay? And I want to break this down, okay? So what I did with that funnel is I still remember the methodology of the 5 steps I did, right? But this time I figured out where they met in the new school technology, and that's what I'm putting and showing you here. The first part of the 5 is what we call traffic. Basically, where are people? I want people and you want people looking for you, and I know how to find them, where to find them, and so on. We want to send them somewhere, so we want to make them take a look at something, which would be similar to what I was calling them. I wanted to capture / get their information so that I can present to them. I wanted to build a rapport. Follow-up is usually based on relationship. Typically in any sales process, you have to make a few contacts before somebody gets in. And then you're basically making a proposal. You want the end of the sale, and then obviously this is all automated. Okay, so let's break down each one just briefly, and I'll talk to you about this. Okay, so let's first off talk about traffic. Now, here's the other thing: is there's a lot of misconceptions in this day and age, especially. I mean, even though the internet's a handful of years old, there's a lot of misconceptions about SEO optimization, keywords, and things like that. Today, you don't need to optimize squat. To be completely honest, it's this process of you having to. Okay, I'll give you the scenario, the general understanding of this. You want corn. Okay, you want to eat corn tonight. Okay, what do? Do you go and plant corn? Do you take a seed, kernel, and go plant it and sit there like this and hope that you get corn? You do not. You go to the store and you buy corn. It's the same thing that you can do with traffic. You can be as specific. You can find anybody that's actually interested in what you're looking for with technology today and get them to look at your process faster than it would be to weed through 1 million people. Or you can weed through 1 million people 1,000 times faster. In fact, I can guarantee you that some of the systems that I put together for myself and my business have automated the process of what would have taken me 12 months of dialing the phone and looking up leads and things like that. I can get done in a week because of the process. I'm not kidding. I'm condensed a year's worth of work into a week based on using proper systems. Okay, so let me focus here. Traffic is literally, there are traffic stores now, and I can teach you how to do those things, and I'll show you how that works and so on. Landing is basically, I've learned how to automate everything and create what they call landing pages, and there are systems already out there, and I'll show you some of these too. Landing pages that you can literally buy them, and all you do is they're already pre-built, and you just type in a couple words and change this, put an image up, and make any kind of offer you possibly wanted so that you could capturing their information. And I'm actually showing you, actually let me go back a couple to this one right here. Is the funnel I'm showing you is I own one of the businesses I have is I own my own commercial energy company, and I typically am looking for energy sales agents. And so what I'm doing is I've put together a funnel specifically to attract people who are interested in making money in the commercial energy space. Okay, so could be insurance, could be anything, could be supplements, could be bodybuilding, whatever it might be, but I'm just using this as an example. And I offer a free PDF book that I wrote, and I can show you how to write these things real quick. And they're not as hard as you think, and it doesn't have to be elaborate and doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just cool. And I take this book, and then what I do is I get the traffic to take a look at my offer, and then what happens is if those are the people that I've targeted and are interested, I capture their information. They opt in to get the book. I email it to them, and then what I do is I end up building rapport with them through a series of videos to make a proposal to potentially join my business. It's the exact same thing if I was doing the 5 steps on the telephone. If I was calling and saying, hey, you needed, I'm going to send you an email. I mean, it worked. I'm not telling you anything that didn't work, but I would call and say, hey, can I send you an email? Take a look at this video. And that was really fancy and high tech back 5-10 years ago. It used to be, hey, can I swing by your house and drop off a CD? Can I swing by your house and give you a VHS tape to watch? Okay, so that's really what it comes down to. So now let me show you some aspects of this funnel that has worked extremely well and is very efficient. And understand, it's not what's specific to this funnel that I want you necessarily to focus on. I want you to focus primarily on the strategy of the funnel, the bullet points of the funnel, if you've never seen anything like this. Okay, and I'll show you why I do what I do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up, we've got all these segments here. I'm going to pull up the first 3, and we're going to focus on these first. Okay, so the first thing that I've done, and actually let me go back, I'm sorry, of this funnel, this funnel right here, is I'll show you in some of the trainings that I have how to create these pages and how quick it is, and there's, like I said, there's systems out there you can get them bang 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 bang, and I can show you how to put them in the right order and things like that. It's really not that hard. Okay, for a couple hours worth of work, I can literally put this entire funnel together, and it becomes very, very efficient. Okay, so it might take you a week or 2 or whatever to cram something together, not cram, but put something efficient together. But it's so worth it, because it's literally set it and forget it on once you have these things done. And then the cool part is you can replicate them. You can make another one and another one and another one. And these funnels become 24-hour, 7-day-a-week employees for you that you do not have to babysit. Think about that one for a second. Okay, so let's talk about the first parts of this. The first part of when I created my funnels was, and I want to focus on this, is my objective here is to get someone to go to my opt-in page so that I can get them to opt in and become a lead for me, somebody that I can begin to build rapport with. Okay, so that's kind of my first goal. My first goal is not to sign them up. You remember the whole length of the funnel. It's not to sign somebody up immediately. That's not my first part, the first section, and each part of it has a specific goal in mind that I create for these reasons. So my objective is to get somebody to opt in ultimately, so I can begin to communicate with them. That's the whole part of the funnel. But how I do that is I typically use a piece of content on a blog post that gives them a little bullet point of information that gets them, and then I might have a call to action in that to get them here. But I've gotten them to go to my blog post based on primarily I use Facebook advertising because it's so detailed, and it's not as hard as people think it is. And I have a full-blown Facebook training on this stuff that people are just raving about, and it's really just not that hard to do. Okay, but anyhow, So let me talk to you about these specific parts here, and I'll show you why this works and it's going to work for you. Okay. One of the things that I have is I have a small blog. I don't update it very often. I don't care if really people find it on SEO stuff like that. I'm not doing any of that. The blog is just a place that I can take somebody away from Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or whatever to get them to focus on something for a little longer. Okay, that's really what it is I'm trying to find them where they're at. Okay, traffic in Facebook, they're out there, they're looking around, there's people on Facebook. I'm trying to use a relevant piece of content, my blog post about Rich in Energy, that I've found these people, I've targeted them specifically, I've used the ads and the things that I know how to do and what I'll teach you how to do. To go through these, to go from Facebook, they click on it, they go to my blog post, they read some good content, some information, and I'm not a writer. Trust me, I am not a writer. Most of the stuff is very short. Most of the time I'll do videos or I'll do a webinar real quick and I'll just take the screenshots of that and put it in there. But in the piece of content, I'll slip in there a call to action. So as an example, I've written things such as, the top 5 ways to make money in, top 5 ways to work from home, as an example, okay? Blog post. And then you might have that as your blog post. You write short 1-sentence phrases with a link. 1-sentence phrase with a link. 1-sentence phrase with a link. Okay, here's your 5 things. And then I make an ad on Facebook as a post. I make a post and then I drive traffic to that post to the people that I target. And then what happens is those people go, oh, I'm working, I would like to work from home. I would like to know how this works. I click on the post to go from Facebook. It goes to my blog. They read it. And right there's an opt-in. Oh, I can opt in to get the full manual on this. It's exactly what I'm showing you here. Is you go from the post, which is content, or I'm sorry, which is kind of an it's called native advertising is what it is, because it looks just like a normal thing. It goes to the blog, it goes to the opt-in page. Okay, so literally, if you looked at a funnel, you can drive all these people at the top of your funnel. Just tons of people go to your blog, tons of people go to your blog, and then all of a sudden they go to your opt-in page. And it just, you have 10,000 people that clicked on your post that went to your blog out of your, 10,000 people saw your post in your Facebook feed, and then 1,000 of them went to your blog, and 100 of them went to the opt-in page, and then 10 of them opted in. That's all. That's really the power of it. Okay, so watch this. So the next thing is, so they're going through that full funnel. They went to the opt-in page. Now they went to this is the opt-in page, what we call the lead magnet, and they opted in. They put just their email address in. That's all I want is just their email address. So it's a lot of people put in name, address, phone number, blah blah blah. If somebody wants to talk to you or connect with you, you can make it easier. But in this first introduction, because I'm talking about completely cold traffic here, a completely cold person, I get them to go there, they opt in, and then what I do is I immediately after they opt in, I begin the rapport building process. Just like if I was making a phone call, I begin a rapport building process. So they opted in, they got emailed the information, but immediately after they opted in, they were redirected, is what they call it. They went to another page that had a short video from me doing something like this. Hey, Mike Healy here. Thanks for opting in. I really appreciate your time and attention. At any time, you're welcome to opt out of what I've gotten for you. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of great information here. Understand that as a bonus, this is important as I explain this, as a bonus to the PDF I just sent you, I'm also going to send you a five-part video training series that goes right along with the PDF that I think is going to even help you more to understand what you just opted in for. So again, thanks, and I'll see you on the other side. Click. Okay, so I make that video as my bridge page. So I built rapport. They began to see my face. They know a little bit about me, and you can do this in a T-shirt with your smartphone. You can sit there and record yourself. You can have your wife do it, your kids do it, whatever. You make it real quick. Now what happens then is now this is all about rapport. This is all about rapport and educating somebody, because I found somebody that was interested in my post. They went and read more information, so I knew they were even more interested. And when they opted in, I knew they were really interested. And now I'm giving specifics to what they opted in for. So what I did is I created this little PDF of a handful of things about energy, of what the benefits were. Not about energy itself, but about why you should be an energy broker, the benefits of having a residual income, the benefits of working your own hours, the ease of how easy it is to get that. And then what I did is I took just a couple things in it, but in that PDF itself, I put links to go to this video training series. I also emailed the video training series to these people so that, you know, hey, here's video one as promised. Okay, as promised, here's video one of that. They click on it, and it was me going, hey, thanks for, you know, appreciate it. You know, let me tell you a little bit about the industry. You know, back in 1994, you know, when deregulation of telecommunications happened, there were millions of people that became millionaires. Well, this industry's 10 times larger than that. So I give them a little of that. I get them excited. I said, you're going to love the next video that I show you. It'll be here tomorrow or whatever. Okay, so you get my point. I then just give them short bullet point videos. It's not big, long trainings on each necessarily one, unless that's what you were into. But I give them little things because my objective is just to continue to build rapport, continue to build rapport, continue to build rapport until I get them to the very final video, which is now it's me asking them to make a decision. It's basically say, hey, you went through the trainings, you saw this, you read the thing, you probably see the benefits. Well, here's what I want you to do now. I want you to go over to my company site and I want you to watch this video, this specific 20-minute recorded webinar that we did that explains all about the benefits of everything, and you're going to see that everything that I just talked to you about over here is right exactly what you're looking for. So that's the thing, is most people try to get people from, it's just like dating or getting married. Too many times in sales and marketing, people want to go from, I first bumped into you at the bar, let's go get married, or let's go hook up. Okay, and it doesn't work that way. You got to learn to build rapport, especially if you want the relationship to last. There's got to be a courting process to it. You can't just jump in bed and expect it to turn out good. Okay, you want to make sure that you learn this courting process. And that's all it is. But the best part about it with today's day and age is you can automate it. Okay, you can create these simple funnels, simple things to make sure that your prospecting, your recruiting, your lead generation becomes fully automated, and you can track all the numbers all the way through. Like I can see everything. So at the beginning of this, I talked to you, I said, if I gave you $5 for every dollar you gave me, how many $1 bills would you give me? And the correct answer would be as many as I could possibly throw at you. That's what happens is, if you get, you can make a funnel 3 parts. You can have a post, opt-in, 1 video, and that's it. Okay, you can make these as little as you want. You can make them as massive as you want. But the cool part is you can even expand on them. You could duplicate one and then add a couple more pieces to it to see where you might have had people dropping off and things like that. And I show all that in some of the training videos that I have, that you can go through and watch them all. They're definitely worth it, and it'll help you save some time and energy. But let me finish up here, okay? So what I've done is I've gone to the traffic store, which I know how to do and which I can show you how to do. You go to the traffic store so that you can get people started to go through your process, your funnel. If you're looking to sell your recipe book or whatever it might be, or you want to get people to come to your dojo and learn techniques and stuff like that. Everything, the funnels work exactly the same for any type of business, okay? And you go through it. But as an example, I'll use this and back to the dollar amount, because I said at the end there at the beginning of the webinar that I show you how to legally print money. Watch this, okay? So as an example, if I know that if somebody comes into my business, worst case scenario, they're going to be worth $500 to me. Okay, so that's my number. I know that if I make a sale, I will make X. Okay, I then look at that and reverse engineer that, and I go through and I realize that, okay, like we were talking about, if 1 out of 100 joins my email list, okay, so then I know those numbers. But let's say it costs me $2. I spend $200 in advertising to buy targeted traffic that want a type of offer like this, that click to my blog page, that go opt in, that go through my video series, that a guy comes out for 500. How many, let me ask you this, would you spend $200 to make $500? Of course you would, every day of the week. And that's how I put the process together. It's exactly the funnel. That's exactly the strategy of why I'm doing what I do. And I do this for multiple businesses, multiple types of companies. And it's fantastic and fascinating to watch what it can do. Because remember I said, or automation is to your time, or automation is to your time what compounding interest is to your money. And don't forget that. And you should have a reaction like this if you've watched this to the end, which I hope you have. And again, I know the numbers game, that some people just, they caught on, they wanted pie in the sky. Not for me, not for you. You stayed to the end, and I've got some good stuff for you to show you because you took the time to go through this, okay? And I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the webinar, whether you're watching it live or it was recorded for you. I would make some suggestions. You can go look at a lot of different videos I have, whether it's personal development, growth, public speaking, things like that. I have a YouTube channel out there. You can look up Mike Healy on YouTube and I'll pop up. I've got a very big channel on there. Find me on Facebook. Go to my Facebook page. It's under Mike Healy. Mike Healy is my Facebook page. Like it, become a fan. Also go to MikeHealyTraining.com. I've got a lot of great information out there that you can get. There's a lot of free stuff on there, a lot of blog posts. But I would recommend this, okay? And this is my call to action here at the end of my webinar here, is I would recommend that you get involved in my membership, my lab, because I have a ton of information back there that you can take your time with. You can go through each bite-sized piece and become better and better at everything, whether it's from Facebooking to YouTube to lead generation to landing pages to email autoresponder systems to graphics design, you name it. I probably have it back in here, and you're gonna laugh when you see how cheap it is. Inexpensive. I don't want to say cheap. It's inexpensive because I know that if I keep it inexpensive at the beginning instead of charging you $5,000 for a course that I could easily put together, that if it's inexpensive, you'll at least give it a taste, but more importantly, you'll stay with it long enough that will give me the time and give you the time to become educated on these things, to use them and apply them in the real world, so that now you can go get the results that we've been promising, or I've been promising you through a lot of these videos, to make sure that it works for you, okay? So that's kind of the thing. There's a button around here somewhere. You can find out about the lab, find out about the membership, or go to Mike Healy Training. You probably see it somewhere on there. But again, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I'm telling you, I used to have to ask somebody help to just put a PowerPoint together. Okay, I don't know where my inner nerd came out, but it's probably because I've been I like puzzles. I'm fascinated with puzzles, but I really like helping people. I wanted to help you on this. I wanted to speak directly to you. That's why I like doing it at the way of a video versus just talking. I think it's more personal that way. But I think that if you focus on some of the stuff I teach you in some of the videos, whether they're on out there publicly or in the lab, that you're gonna get a lot out of it. I've gotten a lot of people. I've had thousands, hundreds of thousands of people over the years that have positively responded to the information that I've put out there for them, and I hope to do the same thing for you if you'll just follow along this, because a lot of this is new, cutting edge stuff that I think is going to really take you to take you where you want your business to go, whether it's a ministry, an insurance company, a church, a school, whatever it might be. I think we can. I know I can help you with that. So thanks again, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks.